Oh, you caught me unawares. Hey, listen, this is for week 5, and which is the class on when? On the 22nd of September, I believe, hopefully. And we're going to be talking about hypothesis testing. Now, as an advanced organizer here, and in addition to the PowerPoint slides, I hope to get across to you that now we are firmly into the area of inferential statistics. Chapter 5 is actually begins to show us how to do hypothesis testing using the Z statistic. And basically, we use a Z-test whenever we know the population standard deviation. Okay, and sometimes we know that. But in addition, we go through this chapter as a prelude to chapter 9, where we talk about the t-test as opposed to the z-test. And the only difference is we use a t-test as opposed to a z-test whenever we do not know the population standard deviation. And frankly, that is the case most of the time. So I know a lot of this is Greek to you. Get it? Greek, mu, sigma, a little bit of humor here. Keep up the humor, I always say. But you'll see that what I'm asking you to do for the hypothesis test is basically in Chapter 8, they give you this 4-step process for doing hypothesis testing. And that's a very good template. So we're going to use that process. Sometimes if I get away from it, wave your finger at me in class. But it's a very simple, fundamental process for testing hypotheses. So I've gone through what I'm asking you to do for Chapter 8 and do the best you can with that. And of course, what we'll do is work through that in class. But basically, what this chapter does is it says, what's the probability of getting a result? And that's called hypothesis testing and using a z-test. Now, when you move on to chapter 9, as I mentioned, the t-test, there's actually not a whole lot of difference, except that we have, because we don't know the population standard deviation or variance, we have to estimate it based on our sample. And that's where that little devil, the degrees of freedom, comes in, when we have to estimate things. Hopefully, when you read through this chapter, you will get a sense of what hypothesis testing is. Again, I realize very, very much that this is a foreign language to most of you, and it's not easy stuff. So therefore, I encourage you to please, during the week, use the PowerPoint slides in conjunction with the text and do your best to work your way through the learning checks. In class, what we'll basically do is review this stuff, and then we'll sit and have a powwow regarding what this means and any problems or issues with the concepts discussed in the chapter. As I said in class, there's a lot of stuff in these chapters, and to cover it all in an 8-week period is foolishness. And not only is it foolishness for that reason, you really don't need to know all this stuff. It's nice to know for somebody who's going berserk wanting to know statistics like I once was. But anyhow, there you have it. And the other thing I'd like to do during class is I'd like to play around with SPSS some more, where we could actually do a t-test using SPSS. And I'll show you how to do that in class. Okay? All right. Well, thanks a lot. Do your best. Do not get frustrated. Above all, do the best you can. And of course, we'll cover this in class. Okay, thanks.